or Orthodox versus Catholic versus Protestant, or women wearing dresses in church, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We could not speak to each other. I can get in my whip and pull off and get mad and never talk to you again. But I'm not going to sit here and then diagnose you. Literally, it's like a vengeful psychiatrist or a vengeful clinician diagnosing you with all of these spiritual ills because you disagreed with me. Who am I that you have to agree with? As long as you are not blasphemous, as long as you are not preaching against the word of God, who cares whether I agree that you baptize a 3-year-old? Or my thoughts or your thoughts on it? Or you don't think women should be wearing pants in church? It doesn't matter what I think, you think, or the man on the left thinks. As long as there's no blasphemy, as long as there is no real egregious situation, we don't have to talk to each other. But I'm not going to sit here and diagnose you and then put it before the brethren, which she has done. She has accused a lot of people by name and by channel. Craft for Christ, that's who I'm talking about, with Pharisee spirits and all of these other things. Let's get to the Pharisee. Most people who talk about Pharisees in the negative do not even know what they're talking about. Jesus' problem, because fuck Paul right now, at this point, Jesus' problem with the Pharisees was not how they dressed, because that's another thing that people who want to talk against the church, well, you dress up and you're a Pharisee if you dress up, or you have a perspective that, which I do too, that if you would go and spend thousands of dollars on an outfit to a Cardi B or a Beyonce concert, but you will wear dirty jeans with holes in them and look like a bum off the street, or you rolled out of bed for church, there's a problem. Oh, you're a Pharisee, because the Pharisees wore these, the whatever they were wearing with the tassels or whatever they had. Jesus' problem wasn't with that. Jesus' problems wasn't even with what they were doing, like ritualistically, or whatever they were doing, wiping their cups, whatever that situation was. It was they had no grace, not a gracious heart. They were the homeless, and one thing I loved, and I knew it, but really just got driven home, was Jesus' compassion for the disabled and children and women. Is you have no grace. You don't care about the least of these. You don't care. It was a heart issue. That's what he was talking about with the Pharisees, that you keep all my commandments and you do all this, and you're like a lawyer with all of these things with the law, but you do not care. You do not care. You do not care that people are hungry. You have a problem with a blind man being able to see on the Sabbath. Why? This man has been suffering for years. Why would you have an issue with that? That was the issue, not what they wore or the thing. Because a lot of these people who just say these things are just saying it really as a Pharisee. That you are more holy than somebody else, you are better than somebody else, and you actually understand the scriptures, and you have the perfect understanding, and somebody else doesn't, and, well, I'm just going to make a video and call you out by channel, or call you out, and you shouldn't listen to these people. That's exactly what they did to Jesus. That's exactly what they're doing to Paul. That's exactly what they did to the apostles. Just stop it. Get them out of here. Kill them. Because, and really this Pharisee, if we want to talk about a Pharisee spirit, is you need to hold me in high esteem, and if you don't hold me in high esteem and see me as the be-all, end-all, the end, the Alpha and Omega, if we dare do that, If you don't worship me, if you don't roll out the red carpet, then I kill you. Then I destroy you. Then I throw you out. That's the Pharisee spirit. It's not just about being judgmental or being opinionated or this, that, and the third. It's about... Hi, Missy. She doesn't like that I'm being loud. I'm sorry, Moo. But I know. I'm going to be done in a few minutes. It's about you have no grace and you do not care. And then when you aren't narcissistically ass-kissed, then you just want to kill people. That's their answer for everything. Is violence. Literally. Just ignore it. Which is what the wise people who weren't even Christian a lot of times have said. If they're just saying things that aren't real, then they'll fizzle out. But if it's really from God, then there's nothing you can do anyway. And that was because they were the ones who helped put Jesus to death, and they were trying to cover up their own tracks. But anyway, I just have a problem with people with Craft for Christ who say these things, and really people who are sowing, I could say discord, but this fear, God does not operate at fear. No Christian should. Now you shouldn't be in a salon for fear of what people... Your nurse or doctor could rape you while you're recovering from surgery. Like, that can happen. That has happened. If you're in an induced coma, you could wake up pregnant. So your nurse can't do witchcraft over you? So you shouldn't go to hospitals anymore. Like, I'm trying to find my words. I'm just going to say this. Anybody who operates in a spirit of fear and then tells you to do the same is not of God. Anybody who makes these spiritual... And I'm not saying that they're not real. Yes, there are people... I'm not saying that we do not wrestle against... That we don't wrestle against principalities. We do. But I think people like Craft for Christ make them a lot more powerful than they even are. And really take away from the power of God. God is sovereign. God is in control. Not some spiritual boogeyman. Not Craft for Christ. And Jesus did not care if he was criticized. Jesus didn't care that... And I want to go back to this Pharisee thing. A Pharisee, because Paul was a Pharisee, that was a school, like, Jesus went to school with those people. Like, that would be tantamount to today's pastor. Or your elder, your deacon, especially in Orthodoxy or Catholicism, where you actually, like, that's like, you go to school, like the cardinal, or whatever, that type of thing. Or in Anglicanism, they have their own little, I shouldn't say little, their own system. That's what a Pharisee is tantamount to. Someone who got trained in biblical knowledge, and that's another reason Jesus was so upset with them, is they knew better. He was not calling lay people Pharisees. Because a layperson was not a Pharisee, and a Pharisee was not a layperson, or a Sadducee, any one of them. Anyone who is actually could operate in a Pharisaical way is a someone who went to whatever the school is called. When you get trained to basically be a pastor, seminary, there we go, seminary school. And you can take those classes for different things, even if you don't want to be a pastor, right? And you don't need to go to school to be a pastor. But a Pharisee is someone who has the knowledge scholastically, and that's another reason Jesus didn't like them, because they were so dangerous. And he said, you are sending my children to hell. Like these pastors today who sit up there and blaspheme from the pulpit and teach falsehoods, lies, and people just look up to them because they're a pastor. That's a Pharisee. Lay people, you and I, cannot be Pharisees. That's being incorrect. That's being out of context. Again, context matters. It's being out of context. And it's being abusive. And what it's used for, and it's literally sounds like this, and I know she was in the grasp of Catherine Crick. It comes out of Catherine Crick's and others like her rule book. If people don't agree with me, if people don't automatically bow down to whatever I say, then they're working against God, or they have some spiritual sickness, or literally diagnosing them spiritually with all these problems, just like an abusive clinician whose patient disagrees with them or challenges them. And so, oh, now you have defiant disorder, or now you're borderline personality, or no, now you're a narcissist. If you're a man, now you're a sociopath. If it's a woman therapist, oh, you're a sociopath. Oh, you're psychopath. You're bipolar, and you have all these problems because I just don't understand, or I didn't get enough knowledge, or you're challenging me, and how dare you, and you didn't go to school, and all this other stuff. It's the same. What background do you have? What degree do you hold? And that's just it's exactly the same thing. That's why somebody said that. And it wasn't a Christian. It was somebody who was talking against psychology back in the way back in the day, when psychology was being seen as a credible science, starting to be seen as one. And this guy said it's just the Bible for non-religious people, where you, instead of saying this person has XYZ sin, this person has XYZ mental disorder. You're just depressed. You just have anxiety. You're just whatever. It's PTSD. You're traumatized. You're and it's sick. It's sick when the world does it, and it's sick when we do it. And they did it to the disciples, or to the apostles, to Paul. I'm not insane. I don't have a mental disorder. Thank you very much. If you don't say what people want you to say, then you're mentally ill, or whatever. Or you have some spiritual, you're a Pharisee. And Pharisee really means today either two things. You are a Christian who's living for God and is following the words of God, following God, and sinners and people who call themselves Christian by name, who don't actually believe a word of it, and they don't live it, get bothered by you. So that to them is a Pharisee. Two, it's the other, somebody who disagrees. Somebody who won't worship. Somebody who won't roll out the red carpet. Someone who won't give you the celebrity treatment. That's a Pharisee. And that's so anti-biblical, and it's so out of order. And it's sowing discord amongst the brethren, and I don't know why these pastors don't call it out. because they don't know what a Pharisee is. They